Hi, welcome to another day of mixed factoring. So this is our second day, just more practice with when you see a polynomial and it needs to be factored on the best way to factor that and how to factor that. So we're going to start with number one. The very first thing that we're going to do with number one is we're going to go ahead and look for a GCF. So for 18 and 27, I see that 9 is the greatest common factor, so I'm going to factor out a 9. Then I see that they both share the variable w, and you take the one with the smallest exponent. So it's just going to be 9w. Then I'm going to take each term and divide it by 9w and write my remainder in parentheses. So 18w squared divided by 9 is 2w. Minus 27 divided by 9 is 3. W divided by W cancels. Now, the next thing I do is I look inside the binomial and see if there's anything else I can factor. This one has two terms. The only way to factor two terms is difference of squares. And so I cannot find the square root of 2W or 3. So this is my final answer for number one. Number two, same thing. I'm going to go ahead and start by looking for a GCF first. They don't have a GCF. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to realize, okay, well, I have two terms. So I'm going to see if I can find the square root of both terms. I do have a minus sign in the middle. And so I can find the square root of 25x squared, and I can find the square root of 121. So my answer is going to be 5x plus 11, 5x minus 11. So again, when I find the square root, I write it as a factor of two binomials. Remember, the way that you can always check your answer is to remultiply. So 5x times 5x is 25x squared. 5x times negative 11 is a negative 55x. 11 times 5x is 55x. And then I get negative 121. When I simplify, I do get my final answer. So again, always remultiply. You should come up with that original problem. All right, so for problem number three, what I have here is I'm going to look for a GCF. And I see that I can factor out a 5. When I factor out a 5, I'm left with v squared minus 6v plus 8. Then I look inside parentheses, and this time I have three terms. With three terms, I see that I have to think about trinomial factoring. My a equals 1, so it's going to be factors of 8 that add to negative 6. And so that's going to be negative 4 and negative 2. So when I write my final answer, I'm going to drop down that 5, v minus 4, v minus 2. I boxed this in a little bit early, and that's because I'm looking at the answer key. But don't forget, sometimes you'll have another level where you will have to see if there's any more that you can keep factoring. Let's go ahead and try number 4. So number 4, again, we're going to look for a GCF. So for this one, my GCF 4 goes into both. And again, when I take a look at my variables, I'm going to take the one, they both share an m, and the one with the smaller exponent, so m squared. Then divide each term by 4m. When I do that, 36 divided by 4 is 9. M to the 4th divided by m squared is m squared. Drop down your minus. 16 divided by 4 is negative 4. M squared divided by m squared is cancels out. Then I'm going to see if there's anything else I can do inside parentheses. And I can do one more step of factoring. I can go ahead and find the square root of 9m squared and find the square root of 4 and do difference of squares. When I do that, I drop down my GCF. I get 3m minus 2, 3m plus 2. Okay. And that's it. We'll go ahead and try number 5. Number 5, this time I have 4 terms. Okay, when I have 4 terms, I have to remember, okay, I can only do factor by grouping. So that means I put in my grouping symbols. When I put in my grouping symbols, I find the GCF of each binomial. The GCF of my first binomial is going to be 4x squared. They both share an x. Take the one with the smaller exponent. Divide each one by 4x squared. So I get x plus 2. My next one, I'm going to go ahead and divide out a negative 49. When I do that, I get an x plus 2. When I rewrite this, I get 4x squared minus 49, and then x plus 2. If you remember, some of our factoring has multi-levels. So I see that 4x squared and 49, I can find the square root of both of those, and I have a minus sign in the middle. So I can do difference of squares. So I do have one more step. So the square root of 4x squared is 2x. So I have 2x plus 7, 2x minus 7, and then I drop down x plus 2. Then again, looking again real quick, seeing if there's anything else I can factor. There's nothing I can factor, so I box this in. Okay. So this is kind of the thought process that you need to be doing for this mixed kind of factoring. We will practice the rest in class the next time I see you. All right. Have a good rest of your day.